Welcome to New It Too. We are so excited you're joining us. We wanted to talk to you today about some of the different machines that are great for quilting. Since we are having Rusty Barn Quilt Show out at the fairgrounds at the Pavilion, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, we sure hope you'll come and see us. So one of the machines I want to show you today is the Jazz 2. It came into our line as a great option for people who really need that extra throat space. And as you can see, it's wide right here, so that you can get quite the large quilt into it, and it's going to be at a great price point so that you're able to do excellent piecing and quilting with this, as well as any other kind of sewing you'd like to do that requires a lot of space, but it's going to be in the more affordable price range. This is a mechanical machine, and as you can see here, it has 27 different stitches. It also has a one-step buttonhole on it. The Jazz 2 also has the ability for you to make it so that the needle can stay up or down, or if you just need to change the position it's in, you can push the up-down button. Oops, I don't know if you saw that. See, up and down? There you go.
Nice.
So it's really nice and easy to use. The other thing that they thought about is this reverse lever right here. So let's say I'm hanging on to a big old quilt. I don't want to let go, because if I let go, it falls.
Yep.
So if I hang on to it, I can reach over here and I can hit that reverse button with my elbow.
Well, that's
very
nifty.
smart thinking. So a couple of other things I want to show you that might come in handy when you're using a machine like this. These are called clearly perfect angles. So that if you need some assistance in knowing if your half square triangles or your squares, you're sewing it completely straight, this is an adhesive that you would put onto your machine so it would fit in here. And then say I'm sewing a half square triangle, then I would be able to look at this, and so I've got the black and the green, and so when I have that on there, you can see the way the points come together on an AccuQuilt cut. You just have to make sure you're staying on that line so it's not swimming around. It's just going to stay right on that line. The other thing is, if you're needing to sew straight down the middle of something, you can use these green lines to help keep you in line with where you're wanting to go and making sure that you're not actually a little twisted. Sometimes it's hard to tell that, if you're on a white surface, it's like, well, I think that looks straight.
Right.
But then with this, it's like, it looks straight.
Nice.
And it is straight. So that's one thing that you can do, and those are available. We also have something called diagonal seam tape. You can see that right there. Kind of the same thing, where you can place it on here with rulers so that you have your markings on the bed of your machine. So that's another handy tool we have. One of the other things that I love is, have you ever seen this? Do you know what this little fun thing is?
What is it?
It's a ring. Look, can you see what it says?
Be so in.
You're right, actually. So it's Velcro. So I can make it fit whichever finger I want, and I can tighten it down. And then even though you have scissors and you have cutters on your machine, sometimes it's handy just to have something that's right nearby you. And this has a blade on it, so it just cuts it off. There's a blade here, there's a blade here. Great little tool. A little cutter literally at your fingertips. Okay, so why don't we go over and show them a few neat things about the Accomplish.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, another machine that you can do some quilting on is the Accomplish. The Accomplish is a straight stitch only machine from Baby Lock. We do piecing, you can do free motion, all sorts of things on here, but because you have that straight stitch only, you're gonna get a lot more power going through some of those heavier seams. So if you're doing some of those really intricate, detailed, little tiny pieces that sometimes get kind of bulky for your other machines, this would be a good place to do it. Well, Brenda decided to show me how to do some free motion quilting one day and said, why don't you try this? And got it all set up for me and wanted me to do some little pebbles. And let me say, this machine made it so easy. And it's actually the next one on my list just for that reason. So let me show you. We've got our needle set to stop down in the fabric, and we have our scissor here. Also have the reverse lever on this one.
Oh, Ashley, that's great.
Now I'm still learning, so.
So does this one have regulated stitching?
It does not. You just kind of got to learn the flow of the machine.
I
But
love that.
for somebody who's never done free motion quilting more than a couple little practices,
Oh, yeah,
it makes it fairly easy.
it does. So what else do you got in your toolbox of things you can stitch over here?
Let's see. She showed me how to do some feathers. Let's see if I can do it.
Yep, those are so pretty.
Get my little stitches over here. Okay. Be kind to me, guys. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh, when I don't know what I'm doing, I wish it looked as good as yours does.
And the faster you go, the smaller your stitches are going to get. The slower you go, the bigger your stitches are going to get. So it's a little bit of learning that
timing.
That timing,
And
yeah.
moving. Look at that.
But you don't have skipped stitches. You don't have eyelashing.
Nice. I really feel like this is something that anyone can accomplish with just a little bit of patience and practice.
On the Accomplish.
On the Accomplish. Okay. Well, thank you for showing us the Accomplish. What's next?
How about we go to some of the long arms on a frame or sit down?
I love that.
Awesome. Now we're going to move on to the Q20. I have it on the koala height adjustable table, so you can sit down and quilt, or if you're like me, I like to stand up and work. And right now this is a little short for me.
Yeah? Well, you are kind of tall.
I am.
So what are you doing?
So I'm just raising the table up so it's a good height for me to
With a push
use.
of a button?
Yeah, right down here. Boop.
Sweet. I like that. So you can sit or stand when you do it.
Oh yeah.
So Ashley, is this a free motion long arm also?
It is, except this one has a stitch regulator.
Oh,
Yeah, so it doesn't matter how fast you push on the foot control, it matters how fast you move your fabric.
and then it knows how many stitches to do?
It does. You set it on your screen how many you want. So
Ooh.
right now I've got it set for 10 stitches per inch. And
Let me take a look.
Yeah,
Show me what you're talking about.
right up here. Boop. And maybe if I wanted it to be more, it's that easy.
Okay.
Boop, boop.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah,
All right. Well, what else have you got over here?
I'm going to put on some machine girl's gloves
Okay.
to do this because it helps you get a little bit of a better grip on that fabric because they've got these little grippy tips on them.
Let me see the grippy tips again.
Grippy tips.
Okay.
I have a set of these at home, and they have made it very helpful, so you don't have to grab your fabric.
Okay.
You don't have to push so hard. You just move them around real easy with just your
All right.
fingertips.
It's like Spider-Man.
It is!
Okay.
So I'm going to do my needle down and up real quick, just so I can get my thread up here. There we go. And then same thing. And see, the faster I move my fabric, the more it is.
So what happens if you stop?
It just stitches in place.
Okay.
Like that kind of precision stitching for whenever you're trying to do your squares or things like that.
Excellent.
No matter how fast I go, my stitches look nice and even.
They do. Look at that.
And that's just one way you can do stitching with a long arm. There's
Okay.
also machines on a frame.
Okay. Okay, so Ashley, there are some extras that you might want to get to go with your long arm quilting machine to make it easier on you when you're doing your quilting. I wanted to start here with the glide foot.
Okay.
So this is the glide foot. I think it kind of looks like a little contact,
Mm-hmm.
but it's much bigger than that because it's this big.
Oh, wow.
It's like a little bowl, and you can see it has the hole right here in the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you attach this to the shank of your machine, what happens is, if you can look over here on this quilt, this is the vintage boardwalk quilt.
Mhm.
Whenever you're doing the quilting, if you're going to come up against something that it might catch on, like the vinyl that we have on the bottle, it'll just glide right past that. Or maybe if you were up here on some of this thicker satin stitching, it'll go right around that. Now, these kind of embellishments are something that you, and buttons, you would put those on after the fact. You wouldn't want to try and quilt over this because I can almost guarantee you would get caught on that.
That'd be a
But
lot of work.
But a glide foot is a great way if you're going over thicknesses, or if you know that you have some seam allowances that are pretty bulky in there,
Mhm.
a glide foot will take care of you on that one.
Nice.
Okay. Another thing that we have here is the Baby Lock Ruler and Echo Quilting Foot Set. Let me open this up here to show it to you. So what you see in here is the different sizes. We have everything from 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, and 3/4 inch. So when you're judging your distance, it can be hard sometimes to determine if you're exactly a certain measurement away from where you're wanting the quilting to go. And you can also stack them, and when you keep changing the foot out, you can keep growing where the echoes are going. It has the adapter to go on it, but this is for your long arm quilting machine, and it really takes the guesswork out of measuring for a echo look and to use with the rulers, because maybe you want to use a ruler but you don't want to be right on the ruler.
Got
You'd rather
it.
be set away from it a little bit, and this will give you an exact measurement. So that's a really cool way to utilize that.
Nice.
Another thing is bobbins. You can never have too many empty bobbins,
Oh yeah.
because if you don't have any empty ones, that means they're all full of something, and quite often when they're full, it's not the color you need. So this is the M-class bobbin. Let me show you that one right here. This is the M-class bobbin.
It's big.
It is big, and it holds a lot of thread, and it's a 3-pack of these, so you probably want to get more of these, but I think what a lot of people don't know is that we also carry the M-class bobbin saver ring.
Oh, nice.
The regular bobbin saver ring fits like an L bobbin or a class 15 bobbin because they're smaller in diameter, but these fit right in here. So you need an M-class bobbin saver so that you can save all of your quilting bobbins in here and they're not just laying around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me tell you some prices on a few of these things.
Okay.
The glide foot that we started off with right here, this one is $49.99.
Nice.
The ruler and echo quilting foot set is $63.99.
Okay.
The bobbin ring is $9.99, and the pack of bobbins is $17.99. So all things that might be just that extra little something to improve and enhance your ability to do your long arm quilting.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to move all these things over real quick so
Okay.
you can look at some thread. Pardon my arms over here. So we have some different options. This is Metler thread, and it took me a while to figure this out, Ashley. I had to go over there and try and find which number this type was, and there's so many different numbers on it, I wasn't sure what it was. If it's pink, that is Ceracore.
Okay.
If it is purple, this is the silk finish cotton.
Okay.
And then there's a green one too that is can be used as bobbin thread, and I didn't bring that one out here, but if you pay attention to the color of your cone, you're going to know what kind of thread it is instead of having to go, well, what is 9090 and what is 9150?
Yeah.
Because those don't really relate to anything.
No.
So you can get these in the solid and the Ceracore. And Ceracore is 100% polyester. It's excellent to use in a serger as well. And it has multitudes of colors, and it is a great strong thread to use on your free arm quilting.
Okay.
Or I should say free motion quilting, sorry. We also have great colors in solids and in variegated in the silk finish cotton. So
Nice.
if you're one of the ones that really insists on having cotton thread on your quilt, then this would be a good option for you. The solids are $12.99, the variegateds are $9.99, and the Ceracore that we started off with, this is $9.99.
Nice.
And maybe you just need a good solid pack of thread to get you started, or to just continue on with what you need. This one is the Aero Quilt Madeira Value Pack, and it has lots of different neutrals in it, so that that's a real good variation of what you can use on your different quilts.
Nice.
This one is $79.99. And then this one right here is the Aero Quilt Madeira Value Pack in the variegated, and you can see it has a great array of colors. If you've never quilted with variegated thread, you really should give it a try, because it adds an extra quality where sometimes it helps the thread disappear into it, or if you're using it in a solid color, it adds some excitement to it. And this one is $94.99.
Nice.
Okay, and then I also want to show you, Quilter Select has come out with cones of not embroidery thread, cones of quilting thread.
Nice.
And it's nice because instead of having to get lots of little spools, this has more thread on each cone, of course, and you have your anywhere from black, white, gray, and a neutral color, and that's a great way to have a cost savings and for it to last longer so you're not having to change out the spools.
Awesome.
And this one is on sale for $79.99, and this is the Para Cotton Poly. So that is a really excellent thread to use. And then another thing that we have here, I just realized that was upside down, is the undertones. So can you see that's all those different grays?
Yeah.
And then we also have it here. So you say, what's the difference? We'll see how this one's orange and that one's green.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between these two is this is the Para Cotton Poly,
Okay.
and this one is the 100% cotton.
Got it.
And the prices on those, I do have to cheat, I'm sorry, is $31.99 for the Para Cotton Poly, and it is $26.99 for the 100% cotton in the 80 weight. So this is 60 weight and 80 weight. And so sometimes you think to yourself, what's the difference between 60 and 80 weight? The bigger the number, the finer the thread, but where it can really make a big difference, I think either one is great for quilting, but the difference you can see in it, let me just kind of move that out of the way, is whenever you're quilting, of course, we all try to be perfect and exact. This one was done with 50 weight, just regular sewing thread.
Okay.
And if you can look at the back here, it's got some bulk to it. I mean, can you kind of see the depth of that?
Oh, yeah.
And you can feel that here. And I've even done a quilt before where the foot got hung up where all those points met.
Oh, no.
And so that's not a fun thing to have happen. And it's not that 50 weight thread isn't good for it, but let me show you. If you use 80 weight thread, which is what this one is right here, the 80 weight thread, your points actually come to a better finish because you don't have as much bulk. That thread takes up space between the seam of the fabric. And if you look at this one, you can see this one, it's this lighter in how it's stitched together.
Nice.
And you don't end up, I wish we had feel-o-vision and you could feel the difference between this, because this one is kind of thick and this one is not. And so that can make your piecing actually end up more precise when you're using 80 weight thread. So this one is the Coronet by Baby Lock, and it also has regulated stitching, or you can do it in manual mode, but it makes it super easy for you to determine how many stitches per inch you want, and I'll show you a couple of differences that are in there. So whenever you're stitching, of course, we want to do a needle down and a needle up, and then we're going to pull up our bobbin thread. So I've got my bobbin thread up there. And then we've got it in regulated, doing 11 stitches per inch, and we have this part turned on. So now, when I start sewing, it's regulating my stitches. And if I stop, it stops.
Nice.
And when I keep going, it keeps going. So if I wanted to come to, it was like, think about, well, which way am I going to go now? It will stop for me. If I wanted it to do the precision bounce, I can do this one. And you see now it's starting to just do that gentle bounce. And why that's important is if, say, we're doing a star, and I wanted it to have a nice point. It bounces in there so that I can get that precision.
Nice.
If I tried to do that the other way, no, I'll move it, come down here, and I try to do a star, you see my needle's up, and I maybe needed it down, so I'm having to like jiggle it a little bit. So it doesn't make it possible for me to have quite the precision
Got it.
because it's still up, because it's stopping when I stopped. And I really needed to go back down. So, and I did a really bad star.
That's
but
okay.
You get the idea on that. So let me show you something else here that's really nifty. Ruler work can be done on a machine like this. So I am going to
Okay.
get my needle back up for a second. And this isn't a real quilt, so I'm just pulling it off.
There we go.
But I'm going to take off my clamps so I can put on the ruler base, which I have hiding over here. Actually, if you want to show that picture to them.
Yeah. This one is specifically for the Coronet. They make one for the Regalia as well that we'll show you in a few minutes. Alrighty.
So this is the ruler base. This one you can see is for the 16-inch throat. Has the little grooves down here that are going to hook around these little notches that are on the throat of the machine. So
Nice.
I'll put it there, and then I'm just gonna push it straight back.
Well, that was easy enough.
Now I have a table, and then we can just put the quilt back where we needed it to go. And clamp it back on. Pretty easy peasy.
Yeah, well, that gives us a much wider.
Right, so can you kind of trace
Support.
where the outline of that is?
So that's coming all the way out here versus just the machine itself ends here.
And so that gives you that flat surface to put a ruler on, so the ruler's not just bouncing around. And I have a Quilter Select ruler here. There's a couple different sizes of them, and you'll notice that they look a lot like the other Quilter Select rulers. They have that yellow film on the back that kind of keeps it from slip sliding on the fabric. But you'll notice this is thicker,
Oh, nice.
because you don't want to use a regular ruler on a long arm machine, because it would just slide underneath the foot.
Ooh, that sounds
And
so
then you're
good.
gonna hit that ruler, and it's gonna break your needle, I promise. Because I know. But you can see here now, it just comes and it sits straight up against it, and you wouldn't want something sliding underneath that.
Got it.
You can see the danger zone in that, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So when you're ready to start stitching, of course, the first thing I'm gonna need to do is pull my bobbin thread up. So I'll do needle down, needle up, pull it to the side, pull up my bobbin thread again, so that I have those available to me. And then I have my ruler, and I'm going to put it on here so that I have something that I need to follow. And like I said, that table is underneath there.
Nice.
So when I start stitching, and if I wanted to go back up the other way, I'm catching my tail, I apologize. I wanted to go back up the other way. But you can see how you can make it have perfect lines because of ruler work. It's a great way to be able to stitch.
Nice.
Let me show you another way that you can stitch a straight line. So
Okay.
another great tool we have is channel locks. This is a channel lock. It looks a lot like the rings that come with your coronet. They come in larger sizes and smaller, and they're great for being able to hold up the extra fabric. So when you got all of those busy, we do sell channel locks also, so that you would have something else to use for a different purpose. Let me show you this right over here. If you look at the back of your coronet, or any long arm machine that's on rails, the wheels here was going to let this thing move forward and backwards, or it lets it move side to side down on the track.
Got it.
Right now I'm going to put it on the one that is going to prevent it from wanting to go backwards and forwards. So you just pull open the little channel lock, you hook it onto that wheel, and now you can see it doesn't want to go forward and backward.
Got
But
it.
it does want to move sideways, right?
Got it.
Okay, so let's show you how easy it is to do a straight line just because we put a channel lock on. Here we go. How simple was that?
That was easy.
Works the other direction too when you lock it on the rails.
Nice.
So those are some great features that you can make it look really precision stitching if maybe you're not so steady with your hands on doing it. The machine has tools to help you make it look that good.
Nice. What if we don't want to do free motion at all?
Okay, then there is Pro Stitcher that you can also get a Pro Stitcher Lite that can go on a coronet. So that's an option, but we also have Pro Stitcher over here on the regalia. How about if we look at that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty, and if you're wanting to do what you could do over there with the ruler base, we also make a ruler base for the regalia, so you can give that a shot too.
Okay.
And we've got a lot more rulers.
So Quilter Select makes these that are the curves and scallops, clamshells. Looky there, all the
I've
stuff
always
that they.
thought that one in your right hand always looked kind of like, what's that guy on the Pac-Man game?
Oh, like the little ghost dude.
Yeah. So if you
I
want to do a
can see that.
Pac-Man quilt, you could do that.
Yeah,
I don't
and those are those thicker rulers too.
Excellent.
And then Good Measure makes these, and these are just a couple of them. Got the ovals, the ribbon candies.
Okay.
This one's got 4 more rulers in it. This one's got 5.
And they also make those kind of rulers in low shank.
They
So
do.
when you pick them up, you got to make sure that you're getting the high
High shank
shank,
ones.
or otherwise you're going to probably not be happy with what happens.
Unless you want to do quilting on your domestic machine and then get the low shank ones.
Right.
But if you don't want to have to do that at all, I'll show you Pro Stitcher so you can see how you can do that.
Okay,
in the
let's look
machine.
at it.
So I've got a couple of blocks stitched out on here, just so we can mimic maybe where I might be quilting in a block.
Okay.
And I've got one up here that I've already done that you can see I fit this shape right into. Pro Stitcher did it for me, so I didn't have to worry about resizing and editing and moving and all that fun
Got
stuff.
it.
So I'm going to show you right down here how I'm going to do that. Let me clear out of everything I've just done. I'm going to go to design and pull up the one I'm working on. And because this square is pretty square, I'm just going to do a 2-point modify.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to area.
I'm afraid I'm making people sick with moving around on the iPad.
I'm going to go to area,
Okay.
press my star up in the top left, go back down, press my star in the bottom right, and now on my screen it's made me a pink box.
Okay, I see that.
I'm going to go modify and skew, and I'm going to press skew 2, and it moves my design right into that box for
It
me.
sure did.
And you can see my box is maybe a little bit longer than it is wide, so
Okay.
it stretched it out just a little bit. I'm going to center us, and I'm just going to go to Pro Stitcher and stitch it out. So I'm going to press run. It's going to tell me what it's going to do first. Press proceed. It gives us the opportunity to pull up our bobbin thread. Press resume. And I'm just going to pull my thread out of the way for a second.
Okay. And you need those threads at the top because...
So whenever you're done, you can tie them off and bury them.
And so what does that mean, Ashley?
Keeps your quilt from unraveling.
Well, that's important too. But when you say bury them, what do you mean by that?
I'm going to take a needle and put it in between my batting.
Okay. So it has those loose ends. You don't want to cut them off right at the top of the quilt.
Yes.
You want it buried in there so it doesn't come undone.
Exactly.
Too much work to get it done. We don't need to worry about doing undone.
Right? Can you imagine throw it in the washing machine and it instantly comes unraveled?
No.
That'd be so sad.
It would be.
The little tail's coming out there. Tuck that back in there. So now it's done. I'm just going to raise my needle up, get my bobbin up.
And you pull back the bottom of the thread up so you can, let me guess, tie it off and
Bury
it.
Yep.
Excellent.
Get my little, I've got my thread cutter here.
Okay. And then what's this wonky box you got over here?
Well, if you're anything like me, whenever you're quilting, your boxes are not always straight.
Okay, that makes sense. We want them to be straight, but they're not always straight.
Yep,
All right,
especially if you're still learning.
Yep.
They end up a little crooked.
So you're saying we can make the quilting look like it's matching instead of it being obvious that it doesn't.
Exactly.
I love that.
So I'm going to go back up here and clear out of what I just did. Now over here I just did a 2-point skew because this one was pretty straight. Over here I'm going to do a multi-point because it's a little on an angle, it's a little cattywampus.
Okay.
We'll try to get it to line up a little bit better.
Cattywampus, is that a real word?
If it wasn't, it is now.
Okay.
We're going to go to design and pull up my flower again. So there it is. On area, we're going to go to multi-point this time. So it's my little diamond here. Top left, top right, bottom right. Oop, it didn't beep at me. There we
Sounds
go.
like an elevator.
It does. And it dings at you so you know you've gotten it.
So we're on the fourth floor now?
Yep. Come back up here, go back to our modify and skew 2
Oh, look at that.
and center, and there it is, a little bit crooked, a little bit on its side.
But it's going to fit that block.
Exactly.
Love
So whenever
that.
we go to Pro Stitcher, run, proceed.
And look at that.
Pull
It's
up
going to
our-
make it look like it was perfect even though maybe you didn't get it sewn in quite straight.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, I like when things can make it look like I'm not the one making a mistake.
Yeah.
Look at it go. It's going to do the same exact thing.
This also kind of shows you the size comparison.
Right.
You know-
Because it shrunk it down a little bit.
You don't have to resize things, it just does it for you.
That's my kind of quilting. I love it.
Oh, it looks like we ran out of bobbin thread.
Uh-oh. Well, I get the concept.
Yep. Well, I'll show you on the 224 over here. Get my screen to wake back up. I've done the same thing on here. Stitched out my little box, got my design placed in there and shaped perfectly.
Right.
Up here on the screen, you can see how it originally pulled in,
And what software is this?
how I built my shape in there. This is in Qmatic on
Okay,
the
for
Bernina
Bernina, uh-huh.
Q24 here. You could also put the Q20 on a frame and
So Q24, you're talking about the length of that
yeah.
throat.
So you've got 24 inches of throat space here.
Excellent. Well, you can get really far into your quilt.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, so what is our special for New at 2 this week, Miss Ashley?
How about on our thread boxes here?
Oh, yeah, that's a great amount of thread.
Buy one, get one half off.
I love that.
So if you want variegated and variegated, maybe you want solid and solid, maybe you want solid and variegated.
Okay, and don't forget about that lovely little ring you have on there.
Oh, yes. Yes, my
That
little
MSRP on that is $15. They sell for $9.99, so you can cut your threads with ease.
There we go.
And also, let's remind them, we have a quilt festival out at the fairgrounds with Rusty Barn in the pavilion in Oklahoma City. It's worth the drive wherever you live. Come see us.
Come see us, and thank you for joining us for this week's New at 2.